Hello, today I want to show a full boss hunt farming strategy guide that will allow you to farm a massive amount of currency, tons of ilvl 82 items, and most importantly it will maximize the chances to drop the Rite of Passage golden charm, which is the strongest and most expensive unique in the game right now. The cheapest one on the market is worth hundreds of divines, and the best versions of it, which we will be maximizing our chances for it with this strat, are priced at 2-3 mirrors or even more. While this item is extremely hard to drop, I think it's worth trying and maximizing the chances because this strategy could make you rich. It's also fun to play, and fun factor is the most important one for me. Boss fights give me most joy and satisfaction in this game, and doing every boss haunted by the spirits is even better. I'll explain the whole concept of this strategy, show my Atlas passive tree, how to use the Atlas to maximize the boss drops with the specific tablets, what Waystones to run, how to run the maps, and when to use Omen of the Hunt. I hope this guide will be valuable for both beginner players who want to start their hunt and for advanced players or even veterans who want to optimize their strategy. Maybe even they could learn something new or just try something different instead of farming breaches or rituals, which I think are totally not designed for these claustrophobic map layouts that we have in PoE 2. And it's just not fun to do them in these closed layouts. I think it's much more fun to just clear the map, hunt the rare monsters and do the boss instead of interacting with these league mechanics that are out of this world and, to be precise, from PoE 1, and they just don't fit into PoE 2. In a nutshell, this strategy focuses on farming bosses haunted by the Azmeri Spirit and possessing rare monsters in a map with as many spirits as possible, as this unique charm can drop only from a possessed monster. But most of the focus will be on the bosses, as they will also drop item level 82 items and tons of other loot, but we will also focus on certain situations in the maps that can give a chance for massive profit. In general, chasing wisps in maps is time consuming, so we will be doing that, but without stacking more wisps using tablets and without focusing on them too much. Another thing is that if you stack, let's say 5 or even more wisps on one monster, it's really hard to empower all of the wisps with 200% rarity, as each wisp can only touch one monster, so there's no big synergy from stacking wisps. Now, many people could say that this charm is so rare and hard to drop that it's not even worth trying, and yes, it's super rare, but I think it's still worth it, or at least to give it a shot and farm a lot of currency from high-level rare items and nice currency drops from the bosses. Let's start with the Atlas passive tree. I took all of the Wisp passives, of course, and I chose the yellow Wisp here, which is the Vivid Wisp. This is because the yellow version of the golden charm is the best and most expensive one, as it gives us 15% movement speed for 20 seconds on killing a rare monster. It also grants other buffs, but even the 15% movement speed alone is just insane. I also took all of the quantity, rarity, and as many as possible of the Waystone explicit modifier bonus points. I also took all of the precursor tablet effect points. In a perfect scenario, I would switch this path into this local knowledge path only on certain biomes, but it would be taking too much time and we don't want that kind of micromanagement every few maps. This is a really bad game design, but for a good strategy we should change the tree every few maps or even every map. I think there should be a selector allowing us to choose which of the biome bonuses we want, as I think, for example, increased chance for, let's say, Gene Barriers or inscribed ultimatums, which are worthless, would decrease the amount of other loot, so it's not even zero impact while doing them, it's actually a downside. But that's not what this video is about, so I just took this Treasure Coves path instead for increasing amount of magic and rare chests, especially right now when they substantially increased the drops from them after one of the recent patches. You may also think that it would be nice to have some increased monster pack size and increased rare monsters. I totally agree, but we just don't have as many points. Now the boss tree. While running maps with Coalesced Corruption or cleansed maps, we need to grab both increased rarity and quantity of items dropped by the boss's notables, then take the drone to the light for additional Azmeri Spirit in maps containing bosses, and then the organized forces for +1 to map level. While running maps that don't have Coalesced Corruption or that are not cleansed, Then we switch from boss item rarity to the beyond reality notable. It gives us 30% chance for the map to contain coalesced corruption, which is super good, and it can add some item rarity and other nice mods, but as we are not focusing on adding any additional content like breaches, rituals, etc., and if you don't want to change the tree all the time, then stick to the boss rarity notable all the time. That's another bad game design, that this beyond reality notable becomes totally useless on coalesced and cleansed maps, and if we were using this node we should be changing the tree on cleansed maps. How stupid is that? Now, don't get me wrong that I'm hating the game, we all know that it's far from finished, it's early access, blah blah blah, but even though I'm having a lot of fun with my lightning spare build, which is the best build I ever played in PoE 1 and PoE 2. Other small trees is a personal preference, as we won't be adding any other content than bosses with tablets, but I think it's nice to have at least the breach and ritual trees fully unlocked, and this is how I have them set up. The Lyrium tree I totally ignored, of course it's good to have it, and the expeditions I don't even interact with them because they are too rippy for me and I wanna level up, and I also don't like this tedious process of placing the explosives, which is a waste of time in my opinion. Okay, now Atlas juicing. So we want the Season of the Hunt unique tablet, so every boss in a map will be haunted by Azmeri Spirit. Second tablet is the one with of hordes suffix that increases the quantity of items dropped by map bosses, and the max roll is 15%. We still have a prefix to choose, so the best one would be of course the plundering one for increased item quantity, and the max roll is 7%. This combo may be hard to get and expensive, so you can also choose the collector's prefix for increased item rarity instead, and max roll after the recent nerf is only 10%. Third tablet is Cruel Hegemony unique tablet for +1 modifier to the bosses. This +1 mod is super strong as the drop rarity of a monster is based on the number of its modifiers. So this is nice, but you really need a very good build as these possessed monsters are already super strong, and with this +1 mod they will be even harder. So you can give it a try, and if it's too hard just use another normal tablet with of hordes and plundering affixes like the previous one I showed. Now let's talk about Atlas juicing. You want to find areas with at least 2 overlapping towers, or in a perfect scenario with 3 of them, but it's quite rare, so 2 towers is also good, as long as you're using good tablets to juice the area properly. Of course you want to find the corrupted areas with some nice rarity or +1 level modifiers, as it will improve the loot drastically. You want to do all the maps with good coalesced corruption modifiers, and then do the Nexus, turn them into cleansed maps so we can reroll them to some other nice cleansed mods. Now let's discuss the Waystones. We will be doing tier 15 Waystones, and if you have tier 16 ones that's even better, but they are extremely hard to sustain or to buy on the market, and they are quite expensive. It's also time consuming to get them, and time is money, so we will be focusing on tier 15 except for the situation where you have +1 from the coalesced corruption mod on the Atlas. Then you want to run a tier 16 in order to get level 82 items on the whole map. The modifiers that we want on the Waystones are item quantity, if possible, item rarity, which is mandatory and the higher the better of course, and rare monsters have +1 modifier. This mod is hard to get and these Waystones may be expensive, so probably you won't be able to run them every map, but you should always run them if you can to improve the rarity of the loot from rare monsters, but they are not that important as we are not adding too many rare monsters with other mechanics like the Lyrium Breach rituals, so it's just a nice addition. You should also avoid hard mods as these bosses are already hard. Mods that I always avoid are temporal chains as they slow us down too much, Resistance's penetration, and crit chance and bonus mod. I also try to avoid other dangerous ones like added damage, increased damage, attack speed, etc., and I never run them combined together. In a perfect scenario you just don't want to do hard mods, at least if you don't have any super strong build that can tank and destroy everything. My build has over 250% item rarity, so it's a bit squishy and I need to be careful. I'm not using the distilled emotions to add deliriousness to the maps because they would make the bosses too hard for me, and the fracturing mirrors in the map are slowing me down. I also just don't like it. The whole map is in a fog and it doesn't look as good as normal map. I may be missing value here, but as I said, the bosses would be too hard. If my build was stronger, I would consider adding the deliriousness, so if you can handle it, go for it. So yeah, that's it for the Waystones. Now let's talk about the item rarity on your build, which is really important as it is multiplicative with the map quantity and rarity. I think you need like 100% item rarity. Personally, I have over 250, but I had to sacrifice a lot of damage. If you're not heavily invested, you can also run this strat with 50% rarity, but then just invest a bit less into maps so your investment won't exceed the profit. Okay, so now we are all set and we can discuss the actual gameplay. We will be focusing mostly on rushing rare monsters and bosses, and even if we have one rare monster left somewhere in the map, we don't need to worry about it because our main goal is doing bosses and it will complete the map. Rare monsters are visible now on the minimap, so it's easier to find them. If we find a Wisp, we obviously chase it, slay some touched monsters to empower the Wisp and get it to the rare monster and then slay it. Avoid killing the monster before it gets haunted, but as long as we have some more monsters in a map, it's not a big deal as it will go to the next one. Our Atlas passive also gives us a 25% chance to release the Spirit on death, so be ready to chase it again to the next monster. If we find another content like Breaches, Rituals, Deliriums, Essences, Strongboxes, we do them, and as I said earlier, I skip expeditions, but that's just my personal preference. Then we go to the boss, and this is where the good drop comes from, especially the item level 82 items, which can be pretty profitable. I was even considering ignoring all of the rare monsters in a map and doing only these that are on the way to the boss, but I'm not sure if that's the best idea, and a lot of the maps are designed in a way that it's hard to just rush to the boss. I would say this strategy is similar to the back to basics strategy from PoE 1, where all of the additional content was disabled. Here we still do the additional content, but we don't add it with the tablets and we just don't care about it too much, because the more additional content we do, the less bosses we do, and bossing is our main goal, and I would say it's also most fun. Now let's discuss some sacred wisps, which when I found them a few times I was disappointed. I was like, they are so rare and so not rewarding. But that's actually the moment where you should be excited when you know how to encounter them. That's the moment where you should use Omen of the Hand, so the Sacred Wisp will be released to the next monster. You can only use one of these per map, so you should always carry one in your inventory and activate it as soon as you find that Wisp. You can still activate the Omen while the Wisp is already traveling and it will still work. Monsters affected by Sacred Wisp have a chance of dropping a Fox or Rabbit talisman respectively, and they are worth a bunch of divines each. I spoke with a player who told me that he dropped 2 Rabbit talismans in one map, so these Sacred Wisps can surely be profitable if you know how to encounter them. Additionally, our Atlas passive makes monsters possessed with Sacred Wisps to be possessed with additional Spirit, and while using Omen of the Hand, it will release both of them. And now some additional info, the Azmeri Ranges Map, which is even more rare than the Sacred Wisps, and I have found just 2 of them on my Atlas so far, but I haven't played them yet. I don't know if there's, for example, a guaranteed Sacred Wisp inside, or is it just a map with a bit of more wisps and nothing to be excited about, but I plan to make a video of that map, so make sure to subscribe if you don't wanna miss out. So that's my strategy, and now I want to tell you something about my 2 previous Wisp related videos. So I made a Azmeri Wisps explained video where I covered everything I learned about the Wisps, showing all possible synergies and interactions with the league mechanics, etc. And this video is still up to date if you, for example, don't want to do this specific guide that I showed today, but you still want to know how Wisps work and how to maximize profits from them while using any other strategy of your choice. Just one important disclaimer, in that previous video I said that I'm not sure, but the Wisp rewards could work like in PoE 1, that the purple Wisp adds item rarity, the blue one adds currency, and the yellow one adds quantity, but that is actually not true, and in PoE 2 it doesn't work like that. They all add up to 200% item rarity instead, and additionally the purple Wisp has a chance of converting dropped items to strength items, the blue one to intelligence items, and the yellow one to dexterity items. So that's the only update to this. And I also made another video at the very start of the Dawn of the Hunt League called Best Atlas Tree, where I showed Wisps plus Rogue Exiles, hoping for a great synergy. Now I must be honest and confess that while that tree and strategy are still good and fun to play and made me a lot of currency, it was really hard to find and utilize that Wisp plus Exiles synergy, as Rogue Exiles are so rare that getting a possessed Exile was just too hard to get consistently. Links to both of the videos are in the description, at the end screen and in the pinned comment. To summarize, right now I'm playing the strategy that I showed today, but it was also the evolution of the previous strat that has led me to this one. I did multiple tests, was hesitating if I should farm breaches and rituals, which were also pretty profitable, or wisp bosses, and I ended up here doing wisp bosses, and it's a lot of fun. And regarding dropping the Rite of Passage Golden Charm, this strategy is not just to chase the rabbit and never catch it. Even if you don't drop this multi-mirror item, I guarantee that you will make a great profit, as this is the best setup that I figured so far in 0.2, and I showed everything here without hiding any tech or secrets for me. So if you wanna appreciate my work, please hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. I'm really curious if any of you, my viewers, has ever dropped this item or even heard about it. Also let me know what do you think about this farming setup, or maybe how it could be improved. This golden charm is definitely the current holy grail of PoE 2, and I would really love to drop it one day. So that's it for today, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.